General, we were just dealing with the question of your instruction that dockets that are in court should be transferred before we adjourn. Do you recall?
Yes, Commissioners.
And you took us to these disbandment plans, the action plans, right? And I just want to close up on that. The first version of that plan, which is the one that was presented on 6 March, which we looked at, and which is in file 2 at page 334. It says, just to refresh your memory, that the dockets that are on the court roll will remain with the team. That will be scaled down, both in KZN and Eastern Cape, until the finalization of the prosecution processes. That was the plan that the minister, you said, partially approved.
Yes.
And requested that it be amended and brought back to him, right? Correct?
Yes.
And then at the meeting of 27 March, the revised plan was presented. And that's file 6, and the relevant page for this purpose is page 372. Okay?
Got it.
All right. So in the minister's statement to the commission, and let me take you there too, I'm sorry that it's a lot. You can close the first 6 March version of the plan. But if you look at page file 4.
File 4.
File 4 at page 375.
Here is it. Page
375.
Okay. 375.
Yes. So this is the minister's statement. And what the minister says is, on 6 March 2025, the SAPS prepared and delivered a presentation titled Briefing to the Minister of Police on PKTT Disbandment Plan. This briefing recorded how the SAPS proposed to implement my directive on 31 December 2024. The disbandment plan of 6 March 25, inter alia, recorded as follows. And then he records 184.1 to 184.4. And then he continues, the briefing of 6 March also included a progress report of political killings cases. The content of the disbandment report was similar to what was presented in Parliament on the previous day. I approved the NPKTT disbandment plan, subject to certain amendments and on condition that the disbandment be completed in 2025. Right? You
Yes.
see that?
I just want to check the last one. I approved the plan subject to. Which page is that?
Paragraph 185.
185, okay.
And then he attaches the revised version of the plan as SM27. Okay? And that's the plan that is that we are looking at page 368. It starts on 368. But specifically on 372, you'll see what we discussed just before the adjournment, that the revised plan contains the recording that the 114 dockets that are on the court roll will remain with the current investigating officers. Right? So the minister didn't disapprove. He never said that those court roll, those cases that are on the court roll, should be transferred. There's nowhere where the minister gave that instruction. In fact, what he puts up in his statement is the revised plan, and it has no issue, takes no issue with the 114 dockets that are on the court roll remaining with investigators.
But do we know, Mr. Sim, what the certain amendments that the minister is referring to were?
We don't, the minister never referred to which amendments. All the minister did was say, and here was the revised plan. And the revised plan includes the same requirement. It wouldn't have remained
So
in the next version.
This is a revised plan after the amendments?
After the amendments. So if he had asked that that has to be removed, then it wouldn't have been reflected in the revision. So what I'm saying to you, General, is that the minister didn't request that that should be removed.
May I be allowed, Chair, to read this fourth one, because this whole action plan, I haven't come across it, I haven't seen it myself. I've always known the action plan that was submitted a day after the meeting in Parliament. The next morning on the 6th, there was this action plan. This one I haven't seen. So I'm reading it now. But what I see, handing over of the docket under investigation, I'm reading at page docket under investigation, I'm reading at page 10, page 375 action plan, the latest one, Chair, it's file 6 of 10, page 375.
Yes?
It says approval of disbandment plan, Minister of Police, now is 27 March. Stakeholder engagement with NPA, including prioritization of the 114 cases, National Commissioner on 28 March. Approval of the new call-up instruction and financial authority on 2025-2026. National Commissioner 27 March. Handing over the docket under investigation to the Divisional Commissioner Detective and Forensic Project Manager, Divisional Commissioner Detectives on 26th of March 2025. Submit quarterly progress report on both the case under investigation and court-going 114 cases. Minister, National Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioner, Crime Detection and Deputy National Commissioner Policing, and the responsible person is Project Manager, Divisional Commissioner Divisional Commissioner Detective and Forensic Service on the 4th of July and continuously. So, as far as I'm concerned, the handing over, including the handing over of the court-going docket, it had to be done by the 4th of July and continuously.
That's not what it says here.
What does it say?
It says submit quarterly progress reports on both cases under investigation and court-going. It's about progress reports on the cases. And there are two individuals who are responsible for this progress report, General Sentumule and General Kamalo.
Yes.
And the same document that you're looking at now, 3 pages earlier, at 372, talks about the court-going dockets. And it says it will remain with the current investigating officers. So what I'm saying to you is, do you accept that this is a correct reflection of what's in this document?
I accept that this is a reflection of what is contained in this document. However, it's not a document that I myself was aware of.
Okay. All right, that's fine. What I'm saying to you is that this, read with the minister's statement, indicates that the minister did not request that the 114 court-going cases must be removed. Do you see that?
Yes.
So your instruction for those dockets that were on the court roll to be transferred to General Sentumule was your own instruction. It did not come from the minister and it did not come from the National Commissioner.
Yes, it was my instruction based on my responsibility as the Deputy National Commissioner of Crime Detection.
Yes, but contrary to what this plan says, it was contrary to the plan. You were acting contrary to this plan.
I don't think I was really acting contrary to the plan because it all went towards disbandment and towards handing over the docket, including the court cases.
Okay. Do you accept that your instruction that court-going cases, that the court-going dockets must be transferred to head office contradicts bullet point 4 on page 372.
Can we fix, Chair, this in that my instruction that the docket be transferred to head office? Because that's not the instruction that I gave, that the docket be transferred to head office. I said to the Divisional Commissioner Graham in detection.
But General, even that is contrary to the plan, because the plan is that court-going dockets must remain with the PKTT. That's why the minister says, I approve the plan subject to the condition that the disbandment be completed in 2025. So even the minister was happy that the PKTT must continue to exist at least until the end of 2025. And court-going dockets were to remain with the current investigating officers, not to go to a different division. Even the minister says that.
You know why I'm taking time and quiet, Chair? It's like when I juxtapose what is contained in the report, the study that says we need to re-establish the specialized unit, the murder and robbery unit, and to capacitate them and to make sure that we resource them, resource capacity. And then with this instruction that says, all right, investigate, and then the court-going docket must remain there. Now, I'm trying, from my angle, in trying to push the performance of the detectives and capacitating the environments that we are talking about. In my case, to me, it was like all rivers leading into the ocean. I was saying we need to capacitate the murder and robbery unit, because in the murder and robbery unit, you don't have ordinary detectives who are not experienced. And even the same people that were there, they could still be the same people that just taken into the murder and robbery with their dockets.
General, what started this debate was a reference by Ms. Hassim to the transfer of the dockets to head office of Pretoria. But throughout until then, Ms. Hassim has been referring to the transfer of dockets to Generals and Tumule. So I think that's what we must understand here to be talking about. And the question is, do you accept that your instruction that all dockets must go to General Sentumule was at odds with what the plan said, which was, insofar as court-going dockets are concerned, those are not to be transferred to General Sentumule? That's the simple point Ms. Hassim is making. Do you accept that? That is, you gave an instruction that was at odds with the plan. Whatever the justification.
Out of respect of the Chair, I will accept, but under normal circumstances, Chair, I was not going to accept in this sense, in a sense that...
You must testify in accordance with what you know, the factual position that you know. It doesn't matter who the question comes from. Do you accept that your plan was, or rather, your instruction that all dockets, including dockets in respect of court-going matters, should be transferred to General Sentumule?
That was my instruction, Chair.
Thank you. The answer, Ms. Hassim, is that he accepts that his instruction was at odds with the plan.
Thank you, General. I think we can leave it there, because what that confirms then is that you were acting on your own without, not in accordance with instructions from either the Minister or the National Commissioner.
I was not acting on my own, I was acting in terms of my mandate as the head of detectives.
Okay. Before I leave this topic, there may be some further questions from the commissioners.
I do. General, if you would have in front of you your statement and file 2. And then in file 2, you go to that January 17 letter. It's 2.
Page?
Yeah. Page what? Commissioner Kumalo says page 205. Yes. That's where you have SS 13.
I've got it, Chair.
Yeah. But what I want to first understand, which is not clear from your statement, when you got, so this letter, the disbandment letter, is issued on the 31st. You do say in your statement that it gets sent to you by Brigadier Litoko, I think, and you consider it to come from the office of the National Commissioner.
General Sibiya, not Brigadier Letoko, Commissioner.
Okay, but Brigadier Letoko sent you something.
Brigadier Letoko sent me the directive that comes from the National Commissioner that says I must communicate the minister's directive to
Yes,
the relevant team.
that's what I'm referring to. I'm referring to that. That came from Brigadier Letoko. I'm not yet at General Sibiya yet. I'm still discussing Letoko. And what you do in your statement, you explain. So if you look at paragraph 71, you say, on the 3rd of January, Brigadier Letoko communicated the minister's decision to me and directed you. Para 71? And the copy of the communication from Brigadier Letoko is SS9. I just want you to keep your finger on that. We'll come back to that SS9 because that's really what I want to discuss. But
My apologies, Chair, page 71.
paragraph, yes, we are in your statement now, page 25, paragraph 71.
Page 25.
Paragraph 71 in your statement.
I've got it, Chair.
Yeah. So that's where you say that you first, this is where Brigadier Letoko sends you. Here's what you say, in fact. Letoko communicated the minister's decision to myself and other officials, right? And then gave you certain directions. This is what you say. And then if you just page over, and then you say in paragraph 75, the next page, you say on 7 January 2025, your office directed an email to Divisional Commissioner. And at this point, I'm still trying to understand the chronology, how things happened. So on the 7th of January, you write to General Khumalo and brought Brigadier Letoko's communication to his attention. And then at 77, you explained the National Commissioner was on leave. That's on the next page. And then at 78, paragraph 77.
The commissioner is running fast, and then
Okay, I'm going to try and...
When I'm still stuck at 75, trying to reach to understand, so that when I go...
slow me down if you need to. You read 75, and then you can tell me I can move on. My office directed an email to the Division Commission Committee.
I've read 75.
Okay, go to the next page. And then at 77, it's not really of significance, but you say the National Commissioner was on leave at the time, and then you say, I called Major General Rabi to assist me with preparing an implementation plan. Okay? Do you see where I'm reading?
Yeah, the national paragraph 77.
Yes, sir.
Yes, to assist me with the preparation of the implementation plan.
Yes, okay. And then you say on 14 January, that is at paragraph 78 now, you say on 14 January, General Rabi sent the implementation plan to Major General Sibiya. And then you say in the next sentence, on 16 January, General Sibiya sent an implementation plan to me. And then you give us those email addresses. And then in 79, you then summarize the sequence. 79.1, you say Rabi sent the implementation plan to General Sibiya on 14 January. And then 79.2, you say General Rabi then sent the implementation plan again to General Sibiya on 14 January, a different time. And then on 16 January, at 79.3, in the next page, you say on 16 January at 11:36, General Sibiya then sent the implementation plan to Captain Sibongile in your office. And then in paragraph 80, you say General Rabi had cited the author of the implementation plan as the National Commissioner. However, upon discussion with National Commissioner on the said implementation plan, he instructed me to sign it off because, in his view, it was an operational matter and it wasn't necessary. Now, when you were testifying to this paragraph 80, you said this instruction from the National Commissioner was on the 14th of January, that you should be the one that signed this implementation plan. You remember that?
I remember, Commissioner.
Okay. And then you say, consequently, I changed the name on the implementation plan to my own. On 17 January, I signed the implementation plan, and then you addressed it to General Khumalo. Now, you've given us, and I don't need to get there to refer you to the document, you've given us in file 2, and if you need me to take you there, I will do that. What you say is an affidavit of the National Commissioner in your application, where he speaks to you coming in when he was in a meeting with General Sibiya. You remember that?
I do.
You don't need me to go there. And there, General Masemula says that was on the 15th of January. You accepted that
I
day?
accepted.
Okay, that's fine. Now, so you've had two discussions with the National Commissioner. The first is on the 14th, and the next one is on the 15th. That's what happened, right?
I will admit to that.
Okay. Now, you say everything that you did from the letter of the 17th that you sent to General Khumalo, you did it on the basis of an instruction communicated to you by Brigadier Litoko on the 3rd. And that's how, and when communication comes from Brigadier Litoko, you know it's from the National Commissioner. You remember that evidence of yours?
I do, Commissioner.
Okay. And what do you say was the instruction that was communicated to you?
By Letoko.
Yes. You may look at paragraph 71, if it will help.
Paragraph 71, on 3 January 2025, Brigadier Letoko communicated Minister Mkunu's decision to myself and other officials. This communication directed me, the DNC for Crime Detection, to communicate the deactivation of the PKTT to the relevant teams, implemented the deactivation of the PKTT, and to further submit a close-up report by 14 January 2025 for the National Commissioner's consideration and sign off.
Yes. And it is this instruction that you rely on to say you acted on the National Commissioner's instruction.
That is correct.
Okay. Now let's look at SS9 in file 2. It's at page 199. File 2, remember I said to you, have your statement and file 2 in front of you. Are you there?
I want to go there, but I've got one thing that, as I'm following the Commissioner,
Yes.
where the Commissioner say on the 14th and the 15th we had that meeting.
You had a discussion.
We had a
with the National
discussion.
Commissioner, yes.
Yes. But what I don't want to leave behind is the fact that on the 16th, I don't want to get off the subject, but I just want to keep this one on the table that says, if the National Commissioner on the 15th said, leave it up to me, but I still get correspondence from the National Commissioner's office on the 16th. So I didn't want to leave that point behind, that even after that meeting of the 15th, on the 16th I still got instructions from the National Commissioner. So I can then go to...
Okay. I'm actually not at the 16th, but I accept what you're saying. It will go on record. I'm not going to explore it further. I just want us to go to SS9, but maybe before we do that, still in that same file, we'll come back to this. Let me find my place. Okay, what happens when you're dealing with a lot of paper is you lose places. Never mind about that. Let's look at SS9, General.
I've got it there, Commissioner.
Yes. Now, that is from Brigadier Litoko on the 3rd of January to Keketsi Sibongile in your office, and this is the instruction that you rely on. Can you just read the second paragraph that starts? In fact, read the subject matter refers. If you can just read the next line and the one after that.
As directed, DNC is requested to accordingly communicate the deactivation to the relevant team.
Okay, that's one instruction that you rely on, yes?
Your office is further requested to submit a close-up report to be submitted on 14 January 2025 for NATCOM's consideration and sign off to the Minister.
Yes. So when you say that this SS9 instructed you to implement a deactivation plan of the PKTT, where do you get that?
Where I get it from, commissioners, is that there has been several other meetings where this subject came to the fore, or where this matter was ventilated, where discussions or decisions were taken, or directives given. This was the first document that kick-started the whole thing. But there has been a number of meetings. In those meetings, where we're sitting with the Minister, National Commissioner, and this point is being discussed, and then we know coming out of that meeting, this is what must happen. So whatever letter that I had to go and write, or that I wrote, it's not like I was just now pushing and running alone in my own lane, whilst there has been a series of meetings, considering the fact that at some point the Minister expressed his dissatisfaction or unhappiness.
Yeah, no, don't go to the Minister. The Minister is in March, the 6th of March. You're far ahead. You have said in your statement and in your testimony that SS9 is the instruction from the National Commissioner on the basis of which you acted. All the steps that you took them on the basis of this instruction. So where the National Commissioner says he doesn't know, you were doing your own thing, he's being honest, you've criticized the National Commissioner because you say, but I got an instruction from his office. And you've relied on SS9. And SS9, and you say you prepared an implementation to implement the deactivation of the PKTT, hence your letter of the 17th and you sending it to General Kumalo, hence your February letter, and hence your April letter. You say it is because you were acting on an instruction SS9. Now, SS9 doesn't call on you to implement the deactivation of the PK. And that's a big issue. It's been a big issue here with previous witnesses that you went ahead and implemented, gave instructions, this whole debate about moving all these PKTT matters to General Sintumule. Remember, we looked at that letter yesterday in the first paragraph where you say with immediate effect. And you continued to give instructions. You have repeatedly said, I acted on the National Commissioner's instruction as communicated to me through Litoko, which is the normal way in which we communicate. Now, all I'm putting to you, or that I'm discussing with you, is that SS9 doesn't instruct you or even authorize you to implement a deactivation of the PKTT. All it does on reading, simple reading of it, it says you must communicate the minister's decision and then to the relevant team, and which you do by informing General Kumalo, and then it says submit a close-up report by the 14th of January for the National Commissioner to consider and sign off to the minister. That's all it says. So you could not have been relying on SS9 to implement with immediate effect the deactivation of the PKTT.
May I respond to Chair?
Yes.
When we read SS9, can we also take it along with SS10? The very next page, which is at page 200. Meaning, all I did.
So which part? There are two emails.
There are
in
two
SS10.
emails.
Which one do you want us? Because the first one, the bottom one is a repeat of SS9.
No.
And then there's a top one from Afinand. Which one do you want us to look at? And which one are you speaking to?
This, the one of SS10.
Yes, I'm saying, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you rudely. I just want clarification. There are two emails on SS10 at page 200. Which one do you want us to take into account when we read SS9?
What I want to demonstrate here, Chair, with respect, is that here is an instruction that comes from the National Commissioner that says, as directed, DNC is requested to accordingly communicate the deactivation to the relevant team. Now, the same email, and this was on the 3rd of January 2025, 1407. Now, the same email was sent now on the 7th of January 2025, at 11:22, from Colonel Afinand. And then Colonel Afinand is in my office.
Yes.
And addressed to Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence, Kumalo. And now, what I want to refer to these things that I'm now forwarding the same instruction from the National Commissioner's office, same instruction to the Divisional Commissioner. I'm communicating. I'm doing that. What the National Commissioner says, I want you to do the following. The same email.
What did the National Commissioner say he wants you to do? That's really my discussion with you, General. You just tell us what did the National Commissioner say he wants you to do through Brigadier Litoko? What did he say he wants you to do on the 3rd of January?
To communicate the deactivation.
Yes.
To the relevant team.
Yes.
And that's how I understand it, the deactivation.
To communicate it.
To the team.
Yes.
In other words, inform the team.
Yes.
That now we're embarking on a different road trip. We are now deactivating.
Yes.
Now communicate this to the team.
Yes.
Now I take the same instruction to General Kumalo in the same as you can see, it is in the same page, Commissioner. It now say, the DNC Crime Detection has directed that the trailing email be forwarded for your attention and the closing report for sign-off by the 13th January 2025, please. In other words, the National Commissioner, because he was coming back on the 14th of January, he wanted me to come and brief him on the 14th of January. So in my case, I had to be ready by the 13th, so that when he come, I already have the report. And I've discussed it. Then the next morning, I present it to the National Commissioner. All I wanted to say was that I didn't just out of my own act. Something triggered and directed me to act. And I acted as per the directive from the Office of the National Commissioner to the relevant team. That's what I did.
Yeah. General, you said in paragraph 71 and consistently in your evidence that email from Brigadier Letoko was the National Commissioner's office or the National Commissioner himself instructing you to implement, so to implement, in fact, you say to communicate the deactivation, which is paragraph 1 of this email. So that you discharged. But then you then say to implement the deactivation. That's the second thing that you say the National Commissioner instructs, to implement the deactivation of the PKTT. And then 3, to submit a closeout report by the 14th of January, right? And what I'm saying to you is, looking at this Brigadier Letoko email, it does not give you instruction to implement the deactivation. It says only 2 things. It says communicate and submit a closeout report. The implementing part is not in that. It's not the basis on which you could have acted, because it's not part of that email from Brigadier Letoko.
To start with, Chair, I believe that the moment I begin, let me put it this way. When the minister wrote a letter to the National Commissioner to say, this is what I see, how I see it, and this is what I want done, the moment the National Commissioner implement the national, or forward it to the next person lower, the National Commissioner is beginning to act on the minister's letter.
That's the way you see it.
That's the way I see it. That's now beginning to implement.
Yes.
That's the implementation now. Because if the National Commissioner was not in agreement, it was going to have to bounce back from that level back and say, can I engage? But now, in this case, the fact that now it had to now cascade further down, it means now we are now in the implementation stage.
Can we agree? I think it's easier if we agree that SS9, which is also repeated in SS10, does not say to you, implement the deactivation. It doesn't say that when you read it. Just on the face of it, General, and it really should be easy for you to accept that.
What makes it difficult for me to accept is that a close-up report, the word close-up report, is a big word.
No, it may be a big word, General. You say 3 things. You know, you're distinguishing between, in your paragraph 71, you distinguish between a close-up report and implementation of the deactivation. So you understood it as you were drafting this paragraph 71, that those 2 are different. So let's not now conflate them and try and make them to mean the same thing, or implementation flows from a close-up report. You understand, and you express it that way in paragraph 71, that he instructed you to do 3 things. You don't say in 71, he said, communicate and prepare close-up report, and because he said prepare close-out report, I started implementing. That's not what you say. You say, he said, implement. And so where he says he never gave me instructions to implement, he's being dishonest. That's what you've said consistently. And what I'm putting to you, or what I'm simply discussing with you, is you could not rely on SS9, and insofar as you're trying to rely on SS10, you can't for the instruction to implement, because they do not say to you implement. They say only 2 things: close-up report, communicate.
I think, Chair, at this point in time, and I beg for your indulgence on this one, Chair, in this sense, if myself, I get this email and I give it to my legal team who assist me to craft the statement, who also understand it the same way and say, all right, in crafting and the word implement was used, to as far as I'm concerned, this is how I understood it to mean. But if I was wrong, or maybe in the eyes of the chair or the commissioners, it's 2 different words, I will accept it without being argumentative, but as far as I'm concerned, the intention was not to deviate from the National Commissioner's instruction, because to me, as far as I'm concerned, I thought it means exactly the same thing. So I just want to say, Chair, that communicate the Minister, the deactivation to the team and prepare a close-up report. Already we have crossed the line of, we are now implementing. That's what I thought. But if I'm wrong, Commissioners, I will give up on this one.
So I just want to be clear, and it's not about what we prefer or the mistakes made by lawyers, if that's what you're suggesting. I'm looking at SS9, and all I need you to, or what I'm testing with you is, do you, and I expect you should accept, that SS9, on the face of it, does not contain an instruction, doesn't contain 3 instructions. It contains only 2 instructions, and it does not contain an instruction to implement the deactivation, just on the face of it. You've read it into the record. You may have read in your head, interpreted it, and decided it does contain an instruction to implement. That's a conversation for another day, how you would have gotten there. But I'm simply now discussing with you that on the face of it, it doesn't tell you to implement the deactivation of the PKTT. On the face of it.
Chair, if I was arguing with the person at my level, I was going to take it further, but at this point in time, I want to cut it short.
Earlier, General, I said your responses should not depend on who is engaging you. So please give the response that you want to give. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No, I'll get you in a bit.
So please respond, General.
Chairperson, I don't want to really sound as if like I am, and I don't want to anger the commissioners as well. I want to leave it at that.
General, no, please speak freely. You make our job easy when you speak freely, because we need to get to the bottom of the facts. You shouldn't not say things because you don't want to make me
If I was
angry.
talking to my lawyer, Chair, she was going to say that's semantics.
Try it with me. Maybe I'll say the same thing.
Yes. She was going to say to me, I mean, it's one thing. You implemented, you want the close-up report, we are saying close, implement. And now the chair is still holding me onto a weight and say, this weight doesn't mean this, but when you look at the ultimate goal, we are going to the same direction.
General, maybe that weight means, this weight means that, whatever you mean with that. All I'm asking
I want to
you.
apologize, Chair, that I said that I hope it's not going to be used against me anywhere as well.
No. All that we will do is to assess the evidence. Be assured of that,
Thank you, Chair.
General.
General, all I am seeking from you is, do you accept on the face of SS9 that it doesn't contain an instruction to implement? It doesn't contain, maybe let me simplify it. Do you accept, and as I think you must, that on the face of SS9, there are no words that read, which is in your paragraph 71, there are no words that say implement the deactivation of the PKTT. I want to keep it simple. Do you accept that? On the face of it?
I accept it.
All right, thank you. In fact, when you tend to, still in that same bundle, if you go to page 211, this is a document that you gave us, and I think you said it's an affidavit, that it's SS14. I think you said it's the affidavit that the National Commissioner filed in your application in the High Court. Page 211, it starts at 210, SS14, you see that? You there, the National, are you there, General?
I'm there at
211. There, the
SS40.
Yes, and then go to paragraph 8.5 of that document. There, the National Commissioner says, on 14 January, I had a discussion with the applicant, being you, and he presented a plan on how to close the task team in line with the minister's directive. You see that? So he says on the 14th, you gave him a plan. I was, however, not satisfied with the proposed plan and informed the applicant that it would be irresponsible to summarily disband the task team and remove the case dockets from them, as it will have a detrimental effect on the investigation of the cases. That's what he tells the court. And then at 8.6, just for completeness, the National Commissioner says the applicant informed me that the task team should be closed down similarly to the way the Scorpions and explained how they were closed down, saying they were individually called into the office with their dockets. They signed for handing over, and management signed for receiving the dockets. He says that's your discussion. Thereafter, each officer received a new deployment. And then he says, I told him that it would be irresponsible, and I advised him to consult with Major General Rabi on the 14th. That's what the National Commissioner says. So now we know how, and then he says, I called General Rabi to assist him with a phase-out plan. So we know how you get to speak to General Rabi according to General Masemola. And then he says that on the 15th, whilst I was consulting with Major General Sibiya, applicant presented me with an amended plan, directed now at the Divisional Commissioner, facilitating the immediate closure of the task team and handing over of the case dockets, and requested me to sign. The proposed plan once again negated my instruction that there must be a gradual wind down of the operation of the task team, and I wasn't prepared to sign the document. That's what the National Commissioner says happened, that you've presented one plan on the 14th, which was an issue that, again, I found quite confusing from your statement, because in your statement, you don't tell us that you presented a plan on the 14th, which the National Commissioner rejected, and then you went and presented another one on the 15th. You don't tell us that. But that's what he says. You had two plans. The second one, again, he rejected it because he wanted an immediate disbandment. And then, just for completeness, in the next paragraph of that document, he then says he then went to General Kumalo and asked him to prepare a plan. And that's the plan, the 6 March document that we discussed, and the later plan. That's a General Kumalo document. All it comes down to, and this is what I want to put to you, all it comes down to is you did not have an instruction from the National Commissioner to implement a disbandment, a deactivation plan. He didn't give you that instruction on the 3rd of January. On the 14th, he rejected your plan, which you don't tell us that in your statement. You don't say that I gave him my plan and he rejected it, saying he doesn't like immediate disbandment. On the 15th, he rejected your plan, and this is documents that you have provided, by the way, the affidavit, to prove that the General Masemola has said these things on record. On the 15th, he rejected your plan. But on the 7th, and you don't tell us that, on the 17th, you then issue this much debated letter, which is SS13. You issue it on the 17th. And in your evidence, you issue it on the strength of Brigadier Litoko's email.
Forgive me, Chair.
Yes.
Forgive me, Chair. When Commissioner Baloyi referred me to a paragraph, and I read the paragraph, in my mindset, I begin to formulate a response. And as I formulate a response, she goes on to the next one, and she goes to the next one, and to the next one. Now, I'm struggling to follow on her, because if she goes too deep, and I'm lacking behind in terms of formulating how I want to respond. It gives me a problem in the sense that I end up not now knowing how to craft my response. So I just wanted to say, I was on the 14th of January 2025, the one that was where the National Commissioner, I had a discussion with the applicant and he presented a plan. It is page 211. Now, what I wanted us to first agree, Commissioner, is that the same plan that the National Commissioner says he rejected comes from the National Commissioner's office. Because General Rabi is in the National Commissioner's office. Even if I signed, I know we labored at that point yesterday that it is now your plan. But the National Commissioner doesn't deny that he asked General Rabi to assist me. And if it comes to General Rabi, going to the National Commissioner through General Sibiya to me. Now, I just want us to settle this one, that the same plan that the National Commissioner said he rejected, it is still his own plan, because it comes from his office.
I thought we settled that yesterday when you were discussing with Ms. Hassim and the chairperson, where you accepted that this is your plan, SS13. I thought we settled that. It's not the National Court. It took a long while to get you to accept that it is your plan. You may have been assisted by General Rabi, but it is your plan. I thought that was settled.
Just to get this one clear, Chair, so that I don't do this mistake again and come back to it again. Now, even though this plan comes from the National Commissioner's office that prepared by General Rabi, I own it, I agree. The fact that the National Commissioner's office is the one that crafted it, Is it being thrown completely out of the window and forgotten about it? It is my document, as I'm the one who signed it. Since the National Commissioner said, let General Sibiya sign it. So is it completely now thrown out completely and forgotten, even though he's the one who said, General Rabi, assist General Sibiya to prepare this document. And he prepared this document that he says he rejected. Now, this is the document that comes from the office of the National Commissioner that he says he rejected. I agree, it was labored for a long time yesterday, but I just want to make sure that now I should not ever again say, all right, I am the one who signed it, I own the document, because I should have, because the National Commissioner didn't to me say, no, I don't like it. So I'm just worried that the fact that the National Commissioner has had a contribution in the crafting of this document through General Rabi is not being taken into account.
General, all I'm checking with you, and maybe let me do this. Do you disagree with the National Commissioner where he says he had a discussion with you on the 14th of January where you presented a plan, and he said to you, go and prepare a different plan? He didn't accept the plan that you gave him on the 14th. Do you disagree with that?
I disagree.
Okay. What do you say happened?
What happened is that he said, let General Sibiya sign it because it's addressed to it's operational and that is addressed to the Divisional Commissioner. That is why you will see now on the 16th.
No. You're now at the 15th. I'm still at the 14th.
Oh.
Remember? 8.5 is the 14th of January. That paragraph we're looking at in his affidavit. That's where you went. You stopped. Remember, you stopped me, and then you said, I want to respond to the 14th of January. So I'm asking you, with everything that you've said now about this comes from the office of the National Commissioner, and therefore it's the National Commissioners. I'm asking you, just so that there's clarity, what your evidence is. 8.5 says, on the 14th, I had a discussion with the applicant. He presented a plan/letter on how to close the task team in line with the minister's directive. Do you disagree that happened? That just what I've read. You just look at it, General 8.5. Do you disagree what he described? That first sentence. Do you disagree what the National Commissioner describes there happened between the two of you?
I totally disagree, Chair.
Yes.
Even this example of the scorpions.
No, don't go to the scorpions yet, General. We'll finish quicker if you go with me step by step. I'm doing it step by step so that we don't misunderstand each other.
Okay.
Don't misunderstand your answers, but also that we finish quicker. 8.5, I've read for you the first sentence, because I'm trying to understand what you disagree with in that paragraph, right? So 8.5, I've read the first sentence, which is, on 14 January 2025, I had a discussion with the applicant, being you. The applicant is General Sibiya, and he presented a plan letter on how to close the task team in line with the minister's directive. My question is that correct, what he's saying there? Is that what happened? You presented a plan on the 14th of January 2025.
That's correct.
Okay, great. And then he says, I was, however, not satisfied with the proposed plan and informed the applicant that it would be irresponsible to summarily disband the task team and remove the case dockets from them, as it will have a detrimental effect on the investigation of the cases. Do you disagree with what he's saying there?
I disagree with this one.
Okay. What happened? What do you say happened?
The National Commissioner never raised any such concern that you can't just close the test team summarily like that.
Okay.
It never happened.
What happened, in fact?
What happened is that, okay, no, I understand. I think you can sign it. It is operational.
Okay. All right. Then on 8.7, look at 8.7, the 15th of January, whilst I was consulting with Major General Sibula, the applicant presented me with an amended plan directed at General Kumalo, facilitating the immediate closure of the task team and handing over the case dockets, and requested me to sign the instructions. Did that happen, what he's describing there? Did you submit an amended plan to him? We know that you did see him when he was with Brigadier Sibula on the 15th, because you've said so much. Did you present him with an amended plan on the 15th?
No.
What happened on the 15th?
What happened is that because this was now between the Office of the National Commissioner and General Rabi, and even when you look at the correspondence, General Rabi had to fix certain things that the National Commissioner wanted fixed. And as a result, when General Rabi was done, had to send the document again to General Sibiya.
I thought you saw the National Commissioner on the 15th when you was with General Sibiya.
Yes.
That was your evidence.
Yes.
So why are you talking about Brigadier General Rabi? When all I'm asking you is, on the 15th, did you meet with the National Commissioner when he was with Major General Sibiya, as he describes there?
I understand.
Yes.
Now I understand.
You
Yes,
did.
I did meet with the National Commissioner.
And you presented him with an amended plan, because that's what he says.
We presented with the plan.
Amended plan.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's what I wanted to establish. Now, let me go back to what I was doing when you said I'm moving too fast and you're not getting the chance to answer. All I was doing was presenting to you what it looks like happened, and in the end I would have given you the chance to comment. But please do stop me if you think I'm overloading you with information. So here's what it looks like happened. On the 3rd of January, Brigadier Litoko forwarded you the deactivation letter and that instruction that you're supposed to communicate. That's what the document says, in fact, to communicate and then have a close-up report by the 14th for the National Commissioner to sign off. That's the first thing that happened. You then have this engagement with the National Commissioner on the 14th. That's the second thing that you communicate to General Khumalo. Let me not skip a step. On the 7th, your office forwards Brigadier Litoko's communication to General Khumalo and others. That's the second thing that happens. The third thing that happens is on the 14th of January, the National Commissioner comes back from leave. You then present a plan to him, which provides for the immediate disbandment of the PKTT. That's the third thing that happens. And again, keep in mind, I'm saying I'm drawing what the picture looks like to me. And then on the 15th, and the National Commissioner on the 14th is not happy with your plan. And then he says to you, I don't like this plan. I want you to prepare an amended plan with the assistance of General Rabi. That's the 14th. On the 15th, you present an amended plan, which you've just admitted. When the National Commissioner is with General Sibiya, you present him with an amended plan, now directed at General Khumalo. The National Commissioner refuses to sign it on the 15th. On the 17th, you then send SS-13 to General Khumalo, signed by you. You now send SS-13, and SS-13 now gives instructions what is to be done, and it directs the immediate disbandment. You follow up that with the letter in February and the further letter in April. And your evidence has been that all of that you did on the strength of SS9, which is Brigadier Litoko's email to you of the 3rd of January. That's what your evidence has been. And what I'm positing to you or proposing to you is the implementation that you carried on now from the 17th of January and all the follow-ups that you were doing were in fact of your own decision and initiative. It did not flow from any instruction of the National Commissioner because SS9 doesn't contain any instruction to implement. Now you can comment.
What happened is that the National Commissioner, after I received this thing from Brigadier Litoku, this email from Brigadier Litoku, I did speak to the National Commissioner telephonically, and he said to me, just make sure that you prepare that report because the minister wants it by the 20th, but at least let me get it by the 14th when on my return to work. And I said, no, it will be ready. And then I've also approached General Rabi as advice, and then he said, okay, I'll also give him a call, which he did, give him a call. Now, I want to say that whatever that I implemented, it was just based on a common understanding that we are acting on this directive by the minister. At that point in time, no one ever expected that this could lead to this mountainous problem that we are now dealing with, because it was just all in the performance of our duties at that point in time. And I believe you, me, commissioners, the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, what he says is final. there's no way I'll argue with the National Commissioner at any given moment, in his office, in his absence, telephonically, or what, because once he may ask you to say, can you please, but it's an instruction. So all I'm saying is that whatever that he says, I would not deviate from what the National Commissioner said.
Except that, I think what is important in what you have said, General, is you say, everything that I did, I acted on the common understanding that we are giving effect. We are all giving effect to the minister's decision. That I can accept. That's how you acted, if indeed that's how you acted.
Yes.
What I was taking issue with and debating with you is it's a misrepresentation to say Brigadier Litoko's email contained an instruction from the National Commissioner to implement the deactivation. That's the issue that I was taking with you. And I take it because in that document, nowhere does it say that. So we are back to you saying things that are not reflected in a document. That's really what my debate is with you. If you say I acted because I was just doing my job, the minister has given an instruction, and I thought we are all on the same team. We all want to implement immediately and deactivate. That's why I went ahead and gave instructions. That's your story. That's your explanation of your behavior. What you cannot do is, for that behavior, you cannot rely on SS9 and then use it to say the National Commissioner is being dishonest when he says he did not give me instructions to implement immediately, because that's what you're doing. And it's problematic for that reason, that he did not say that to you, not on SS9, maybe on the phone. If you want to say on the phone, that's what you told me, or in an email, that's what you told me, then we'll say to you, fine, let's see the email. But if you're relying on SS9, which is what you've been doing since you sat on the stand, and in your statement, if you're relying on SS9, no, SS9 does not give you that instruction. You drew it from somewhere else, not from SS9.
May I comment, Chair?
Yes, you may.
This words that says the National Commissioner is not being honest when he says that. If many will remember, after the 6th of July press briefing by General Mkhwanazi, at some point the National Commissioner was asked by the media, were you aware that he's going to make such a press conference? He said, yes, he told me. And did you give such order that this team be disbanded? He said, I never gave anyone any instruction. And then based on that, from my side, knowing that I have an email that directed me, that is how I approach it, to say, but the National Commission is not being honest here, because
the email, if you have another email, point us to it. Let's stop doing this, this secular discussion. If you have another email, by all means, introduce it. SS9, and now I'm putting it to you. SS9 does not instruct you to implement the deactivation. It doesn't. If that instruction was ever given by the National Commissioner, it's contained somewhere else. And you are free to refer us to that. But we can't keep doing this where you're insisting that the National Commissioner told me to implement the deactivation and he did that in SS9. It doesn't. And it's problematic that you insist that SS9 contains such an instruction. It doesn't. On any construction, it doesn't.
just a last comment for me on this one, if I'm allowed, Chair.
Yes, you are. You may comment.
If there was this letter from the minister, then there is the email that comes from the National Commissioner's office, and there is a presentation in Parliament that speaks about the fact that the minister has issued an instruction to the directive to the National Commissioner, and there's been several meetings and consultative meetings held, and that we are now implementing, and this is how it's going to happen. As far as I'm concerned, there has been an agreement all the way that this is emanating from that letter, going to the directive by the National Commissioner, going to even up to Parliament and saying, and coming up with an implementation plan. To me, the cycle is completed. But if it is rejected by the commissioners, I will accept it as well.
General, the National Commissioner implements with General Khumalo. We know that. He goes to General Khumalo and says, prepare a plan for me. So he is doing something arising from that letter from the minister. You do your own thing. And what you do is not based on anything that the National Commissioner asked you to do. He asked you to communicate, which you do. You communicate. 2, he says, prepare an activation plan, which you do. You present it to him on the 14th. But you do a third thing. You implement immediately. You give instructions. to implement and deactivate. That is not contained anywhere in writing that we have seen. It's not in SS9, and if you're and so far you've relied only on SS9. So, and if that's the only thing you're relying on, what I'm putting to you is SS9 doesn't give you that instruction, so you acted without instruction, because that's what you're relying on. It follows. You acted without instruction, and that's what it is, General. You can comment lastly, if whatever the chair allows you to do, but I don't think there's any point in doing this, because we're going around cycle. You insist that you acted on the basis of SS9, and I guess we'll evaluate it for what it is. But that is your evidence. I guess we have to accept your evidence is you acted on SS9.
Feel free to comment, General.
I feel oppressed, Chair.
No, feel free to comment.
I feel oppressed in a sense that this is an official process. It's not a private process. It's an official process coming from the minister to the National Commissioner to me. We are all in it. Now, when the National Commissioner chose to do something with General Khumalo, which he never elected me to, he never said to me, leave it, I will do it, and then went and did it somewhere with General Khumalo when I don't know. And I kept on communicating and doing things, hoping that I'm doing that what the National Commissioner also expected me to do. And then in the meantime, later, it transpired that he was doing his own thing. But what pains me the most is the fact that even the same letter that I know is going around in second, but even the same letter, this letter, comes from the National Commissioner's office. Now, although I own it because I had to sign it, it just kills me to see how the commissioners are rejecting it, that it comes from the National Commissioner's office. It was prepared from the National Commissioner's office. Even though I signed it, I accept that. But that is it, may, Chair. I accept, and I don't want to really make the commissioners angry. I accept this point, and whatever direction it takes, I'll accept it, Chair.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Chair.
Chair. I just wanted to, on the issue of the implementation and the instructions that we've already discussed, the various instructions that you had issued. You recall you issued those instructions and you required immediate action. You said it's for immediate compliance. Do you recall that?
That is correct, Chair.
And you also said that what you anticipated was that the dockets would be, at some point, transferred to the murder and robbery unit, to investigators in that unit to take over. Is that right?
That's what was supposed to happen.
And at any point before issuing that instruction that should happen, well, first of all, we've not seen that instruction. Let me just be clear. You say that's what you expected, but we don't actually see an instruction from you that it should go to murder and robbery, right?
I think it is contained in the letter. I need to just remind myself.
We don't need to detain ourselves on that. Let's say that was your expectation. Did you satisfy yourself that there was capacity within the murder and robbery unit to absorb these dockets?
Yes, all I know is that there is murder and robbery unit in KZN.
All you know is that there is a murder and robbery unit in KZN. That in your view, had the capacity to absorb these dockets?
Very much so.
You satisfied yourself as to that?
Yes.
So why then, in July 2025, did you have to make a request for funding for a new team to be established to handle the dockets? Why didn't you, at that point, send it to the murder and robbery unit that you say had the capacity to handle it?
Chair, we discussed this point, and I did mention that because of the fact that the national commissioner, the provincial commissioner rejected the docket, we had to come up with a plan. And in coming up with a plan, we could not just call people and say, go to Durban to go and conduct investigations. You needed to put a budget together because people must be accommodated because they will be coming all from outside KZN. They don't even know KZN, so you also need protection. Because then if the provincial commissioner say, I don't want them in the province, and the national commissioner allowed him to say that, now from head office, we have to make sure that there's continuity. And in so doing, we had to put a budget together.
So you had to constitute a new task team to deal with the dockets?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was my question on the dockets. As far as implementation goes?
General, before all that, why did you not wait until the detectives that were already part of the PKTT were assigned to the murder and robbery unit in KZN? Because if I understood you correctly, you said because they were already in KZN, the detectives who are members of the PKTT, they could continue with the investigations, but they could do so now being part of the murder and robbery unit. Isn't a sensible thing to do before you remove dockets and you reallocate them, is to actually reallocate the detectives so that once you know that there are detectives in place in KZN who are able to continue with the investigations. They are no longer part of PKTT, they are now part of the murder and robbery unit. Only then do you withdraw dockets and assign. Isn't that the sensible thing to do?
Chair, may you allow me to respond it in this way? If we all agree, let's take for a moment that we are all in agreement and this is what we want to do. We are not in defiance. We want to implement this decision of the minister. And then I wrote that letter that says, by this time it must happen, or it must have happened. All what will happen is that even, because we are all, it's all systems go, we all agree. And then from there, what will happen is that General Sintumile and General Kumale will do a handing over. General Kumale will say, okay, murder and robbery unit commander and deputy, let us have a meeting. They will have a meeting and say, now that the decision has been taken to disband that side, now all these dockets now become to murder and robbery unit. Branch commander, here are your dockets, now sign over, hand over. Then all the investigators, the resources get also attended to, in a sense that, let's say the decision that was to be taken was that, okay, in any event, they all work in KZN. Let's take them all and make them part of the murder and robbery unit. The work still continues as normal. But if that is not the case, others will need to go back to Limpopo, Northwest, wherever they come from. We're still strengthening the other murder and robbery unit in those respective environments. But the fact that the docket could be handed over to the branch commander or to the deputy provincial commissioner to sign for, it really doesn't change or make impact that much, because let's say you die today as an investigating officer having 400 cases. We still have to take your cases and redistribute them or take them and make a plan on those dockets. I'm just giving you a clear example of a member who died now, having so many cases. Those dockets, they are not left somewhere, they just dealt with the normal way. So even the PKTT's approach, when it is banned, it's not like there was any commission of crime in the manner in which it was being done, or any irregularity, or any something that was not supposed, that is happening, that is constituting a breach of some sort of law or standing order. It was all in the name of work, the processes. If where there was an error of judgment, maybe perhaps I will accept it, commissioners, where the commissioners will say, yeah, but do you agree that there was a disturbance in terms of the attendance of those dockets? And then why did you do this? Some of the things may be an error of judgment, but no malice intent was intended. It was just all in the interest of work and making sure that this process does not take too long. Thank you, Chair.
After that long explanation, do you accept that the proper thing to do is to first plan for what's going to happen with the dockets, and then you remove and reallocate dockets? Because you cannot reallocate them to non-existent detectives. When you reallocate them, you must know that there are detectives there who are qualified, who will take over the investigations. Do you accept that the planning must happen before the removal of the dockets? Simple.
I do accept, Commissioner, and also the fact that this document that the one that I signed makes provision for that they must then go to be transferred to another.
General, let's not go there. You accepted that your document was rejected by General Masemola. He went with Kumalo's plan. So it doesn't help to keep going back to a document that was rejected. It was not accepted. You were at the parliamentary briefing. You were at the 6 March briefing. You know that it was not your document that was presented. It was something else. You know that. Thank you, Ms. Hassan.
Thank you. Sorry, General, did you want to respond?
Chair, what I know is that what was presented to Parliament, what was saying we are disbanding. That what was presented in Parliament, is that what was saying we are disbanding. That's what I know. And there was no objection from any direction.
But General, the big difference between what was presented and what you did was how you're going to go about it. Your document is immediate disbandment. As we discussed it, you immediately said things now fall under General Sintumule, and you gave all of those instructions of things that should happen, and you continued to do that in your subsequent correspondence, when in fact the National Commissioner's position was we're going to do this gradually. So you're right to say there was no, in Parliament, there was no disagreement with the disbandment, at least what was presented in Parliament. It was about how it is done. And we're having this big debate with you, and suggestions have been made about your motives, why you approached it in a certain way. It's this big difference that you were going for immediate disbandment when the National Commissioner wanted a gradual winding up. And so you were implementing, the two of you were implementing different strategies.
No, Chair. At some point, I began to, especially after Parliament, I began to realize, because I was there, that, okay, this is how it's going to be undertaken. And then I fell into the same line of thinking. The only difference became now when the dockets now were at head office. Then I say, all right, now that the dockets are at head office, let this docket then be transferred immediately. Let this process take place. Maybe I must accept that for me then to have said also, let them also, the members reporting back to their respective environment, maybe I must accept there that it could have been an error of judgment there, and I'm taking that part responsibility.
But that's not the only difference. It's not about when the dockets had now arrived. We went through your different letters and the presentation in Parliament, which is that gradual way of doing things. This is the General Kumalo presentation, and you say you were present. You still went and issued a letter in April that contradicted something that was in that plan. And that's something, there was an endless discussion with Ms. Hassan this morning about it, where the plan was the court-going dockets should remain, should not be part of what is handed over. They should remain with whoever the investigators, I think it is. And you offered, you gave a contrary instruction in April. So there was, you did fundamentally differ with what was done or what was preferred by General Masemola.
Yes, commissioners, I do hear and understand. But for the court docket, when we talk about court docket, we're talking about the investigation that has been concluded. It's a court docket. Now, those ones, it's not the reason why you should still keep the task team still alive, because these are dockets that have been investigated, even if a person is to go.
Let me stop you. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that's why the task team should have continued. I was just dealing with you saying the only difference was about the dockets, that, the dockets were brought up to General Sintumule, and as soon as you found out, you ordered they should go back. And I was just correcting that no, there was another point of difference between what you were doing and what the National Commissioner and General Khumalo were proposing and approved by the Minister to be done. One example is this issue about the court enrolled dockets, I think that's what it is called. You said even those must be given to General Sintumule, when in fact the plan that ultimately in that 6 March meeting, the Minister says, I was okay with it, said those should remain with the investigators. So that's another point of difference between your plan and what you were doing, and General Masemola / General Khumalo's plan and what they were proposing. That's all I was pointing out. You can comment, General, if you want to. I don't want you to.
We were. I want to comment, but I wanted to finish that too. We were all on a transition or transitional period where we're saying task teams must be disestablished and we must capacitate the units that are established. And for the murder and robbery unit to function, at some point we need to bite the bullet and make sure that we capacitate once and for all murder and robbery unit to be effective. And that is, from my angle, I was moving from the person who's actually managing the performance of the detectives. From my angle, I'm just trying to ask the Commission not to limit the performance of my responsibilities to the mistakes that might have happened or taken place only because of the portion of the PKTT. But in my case, incapacitating the murder and robbery unit, we needed to make sure that we need all the capacities, that we have all the experience that we have in those structures, so that we have a capable state.
Thank you, General. Thank you.
Thanks. Can we move to another topic? And this is just to address something that you have raised on multiple occasions, and that is that when an inspection was done of the dockets that were brought up to head office, what was found was, in fact, they had been gathering dust with the PKTT. There had not been investigations for many years of those dockets. Am I summarizing what you said correctly?
Correct.
But of course, you did not mean 100% of the dockets.
Yes, Chair, I'm referring to the 121 docket.
Yes.
And even
but what I'm saying is you did not mean 100% of the 121. You referred to examples 20, I think 17, 18, 19, 20, and so on, but not 100% of those dockets. Yes, Ms. Hassim.
Thank you, Chair. Are you aware that only 92 of the dockets were audited? 92 of the 121. Are you aware of that?
I cannot agree with it, Chair. And why I say I cannot agree with it, I'm basing on what I have, the document. Personally, I have never seen even a single docket. So if the question is how can you not agree when you have never seen a docket, I will accept. But with the list that we have here, and where I am told that this is the list of the dockets that we inspected. If this is the list of the dockets that we inspected, I will take it that these are the dockets that were inspected. And instead, maybe rather, if the chair could say, can then General Motsepe come and bring all those dockets here so that we see, because they made entries in those dockets.
We've already gone.
Sorry, Ms. Hasim. I just need clarity on one thing, just to make sure that you are not talking past each other. General, is there a difference between auditing dockets and inspecting dockets? Do you know?
Yes, there is a vast difference. There is a difference between auditing and inspecting.
What's the difference?
The difference when you inspect a docket is when you inspect a docket, but when you audit.
No, you can't define a term by using the same term, General. You can't say when you inspect a docket, you inspect a docket.
When you inspect a docket, the chair, is when you take a docket and then you look into compliance, you look into, you have many, because there's in terms of the national instructions, inspection, the management of case docket, and how you manage a docket, and then so when you inspect a docket, you check that this docket is being run or managed in terms of the national instructions. In other words, when the docket is opened, was it put forward for 24-hour inspection? In other words, when a docket gets opened today, the very next morning it must be before the commander, who must read it and then give instructions and give a brought forward date and say, bring this docket again on this date, I want to see it. And then you keep on giving instructions and directions as well. So this is now a docket inspection. Now when you do auditing, it's when you look at the number of dockets that are there, that you have, the number of dockets that have been closed, the number of dockets that are in court, the number of dockets that have been closed as undetected. It's a whole lot of them that you can say, this is docket. You audit now the numbers and a lot of things. It may include compliance according to the standard of maybe the Auditor General, how they also choose to audit in terms of their work.
Oh, when you referred to the process that was engaged in, which yielded the results that X number of dockets were last investigated on these dates, was that an inspection or an audit? That is the process in terms of which you became aware that some dockets had last been investigated in 2017, 18, and so on. Was that an inspection or an audit?
It was both. Both in terms of the number of dockets, and when you look at the, let's say your C5 document, your investigation diary, you look at the number of statements that were obtained. And then you read, you count the statements, and then you see according to the annexes listed there. Now you know that, okay, in this docket, we received 20 statements and they are all accounted for. Put one side.
Thank you. Ms. Hasim, I just, because I think the General had been using inspect, and you used audit. So I just wanted to make sure that you're talking about the same thing. Now you've heard his explanation, you may proceed with your questions.
Maybe before that, Ms. Hasim, I don't know if it might not help the discussion you want to have. Paragraph 28 of General Motsepe's statement. Maybe you want to look at that.
Thank you, Commissioner. So what General Motsepe refers to is an audit,
Which is exactly the term you use.
which is the term I use because she was in charge of that process. And she says that she conducted an audit of the 121 dockets, and then she says who the team was made up of. She says she was not directly involved in the audit exercise, but she did a few spot checks of the dockets. Okay? Now, it's that audit that I'm referring to, that of the 121, in fact, when we looked at it, only 92 were audited. Did you find something different? Did you look at each of them?
I indicated earlier, Chair, that I've never seen a single document or docket. However, whether it was 92 or it was 121, still the same thing in terms of the process that we are looking at.
What I'm saying to you is that 92 dockets were audited.
Still fine.
Sorry?
It's still okay.
It's okay, all right. And of those 92, 46 were related to the traditional leader killings. Are you aware of that?
Chair, I will be shooting from my head. Unless I'm to be assisted to agree with it, but I don't think there's anything I want to really deny or in this regard.
I'll help you with it. I don't want you to agree to something if you're not comfortable agreeing. So let's just go to the record so you can see it. It's in file 6. It's actually from the reports that were being prepared for the minister. So if we just go to file 6, page 371.
File
6. I think it's file 6.
On the same breath, Chair, may I make a request that on the same breath, I will going to also look into how many were not political related, and how many were drugs, and how many were political killings.
Well, yeah, it's very clear from all the presentations that have been made to you and the minister in these reports.
Page
371.
I've got it, Chair.
Okay. So you'll see traditional leadership related cases at the top of the page. And it says 51 in total. Do you see that?
Yeah, traditional leadership related cases 51, yes, I see.
Okay. But it's broken down further in that table below the heading. And the number that concerns us is the one under blue, because those were the ones that were under investigation and had been transferred. It's 44 plus 1, so 46. Do you see that?
I see.
Okay. So 46 of the 92 that were audited were traditional leadership killing cases. Now, The importance of that is that the mandate of the Political Killings Task Team was extended to include the traditional leadership-related cases from 1st April 2024. And just for the sake of the record, you'll find that extension in the same file 6 at page 609.
But can I comment?
Sorry, did you say you want to comment?
No, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Can I?
Yes,
Yes.
General, yes.
At the same time, I like this example that you're giving me, program evidence leader. You are saying to me all the cases, traditional leadership related cases is 51. And then we are saying murder is 44, one attempted murder, kidnapping 1. Now we are saying pending DPP's decision is only 2. Court-going cases only 3 out of 51. And we're saying this is good work. So I just wanted to point that angle.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
if you let me finish, then you'll understand why what you're saying now is actually absolutely incorrect. And it's gratuitous, because you are intent on attacking the work of this task team, or else you wouldn't make that comment. So let me finish. 46 of the 92 dockets that were audited were traditional leadership-related cases, okay? I was taking you to the mandate. You find that on file 6 at page 609, okay?
6, page 6. File
610.
Oh,
Well, 609.
609.
609.
That's red 609, bottom of the page.
At the bottom of the page, Chair.
Somebody once said,
That's,
let me read it.
Thanks. I'm on it, Chair.
so you'll see the first bullet point on that page.
I see there.
It says the mandate of the task team has been extended with effect from 1 April 2024 to include the investigation of cases involving the killings of traditional leaders in KwaZulu-Natal. Okay? So this,
And that was approved by Eugene. Oh, not, no. No, you recommended. Or what? Yeah.
it was recommended by General Sibiya.
Oh, yeah. Yes. At page 610.
Yeah.
Yes, you see that.
Here, I hope we are dealing with the financial authority, not the extension of the mandate.
Yes, you approved the budget
Okay.
to be expanded because of
Yes.
this extended mandate. Yes. So the team was only, the mandate of this team to take on these cases was only extended on the 1st of April. In fact, the signatures here are later in April. So although it starts from 1st of April, by the time dockets would have been transferred to this team would have been sometime after signature of this document that we were just looking at. Correct?
Yes.
And at the time that the audit was done, so this is 2024, April 2024, okay? And the audit is done a year later. So the team had only received these dockets for a short period of time. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree. They come back a long way with the political killing. With the political killing since 2018, 2019. This traditional cases was also really also being investigated, or unless I don't understand the question.
No, it wasn't being investigated by this task team. There would have been, these were dockets that were assigned to the task team. These were not dockets that were being investigated by the task team prior to April 2024.
I don't agree.
General, what does it? What do you understand it to mean that their mandate was? They were granted a mandate on the 1st of April 2024. Then to deal with the killings of traditional leaders.
Not even that early.
It's actually the 16th. Yes. What do you understand that to mean?
It means that their mandate now has been extended to also begin to investigate the traditional killing cases.
And until that mandate is given, did they have authority to investigate the killings of traditional leaders before this mandate on the 16th of April?
I would say yes.
From where?
The provincial commissioner decides on what matter to allocate to who.
So are you saying it didn't matter? They actually didn't need a mandate to be given to them on the 16th of April?
For me to accept this point, Chair, may we go to the list, the one that contains the inspection that was conducted, all those things. Remember where I was saying the last date of inspection was this? Because it tells us the case number, the case numbers.
But General, I'm very sorry to interrupt my colleague. In response to Commissioner Baloy's second last question, you said the effect of the mandate was to allow them to, open quote, begin, close quote, investigating these matters as well. So they can't begin if they were already doing it, General.
General, what's your answer to that?
Personally, I feel that, Chair, the involvement into them investigating traditional leaders' cases didn't start with effect from this date.
When did it start, General?
That's why I want to ask commissioners to refer to that document whilst we are still on the subject.
No, I can suggest to you that won't help us because you've already said, let's look at the case number. We know case numbers, cases get open and they have an earlier date. We are now talking about on the 16th of April 2024, someone thought for them to now investigate these cases, these old cases as you referred to, we need them to be given a specific mandate to do that.
You see, the problem that I think the commissioners need to be aware of is that each and every motivation they are putting in to request for funding, they write one and the same wording. One and the same wording. Even when you look at the other ones preceding this one, they will still write the same wording.
But in this case, General, we are concerned about the date when they were given a mandate. Forget the other paragraphs in this motivation. This motivation for funding tells us when they were given the mandate to investigate the killings of traditional leaders. And what Ms. Hassan is discussing with you is that effectively the earliest they had authority, a mandate, the earliest is the 16th, but you've agreed with her that dockets would have been given to them later, beyond this date, which seems to, now you're changing that and saying, well, they always had the dockets, they could have investigated them. But put that aside. That's what she's seeking to discuss with you, and I don't understand how you have a difficulty with just simply giving the straight answer that, yes, the authority to investigate, they only got at some point in April 2024. I'm not sure, not that I'm sure, I don't understand why you have a difficulty with that.
Chair, are we able to look into the document that I'm referring to so that I can also feel comfortable around that the response I have to, because it's binding.
Which document would you like to?
May I just establish this before you take us there? Do you agree that upon its inception, the PKTT was mandated to investigate political killings?
I accept that, Chair.
And do you accept that that mandate was extended at a later stage to investigate something else, that is, or rather, in addition to political killings, the PKTT was now to investigate something else as well? Do you accept that?
Traditional leader, I accept that, Chair.
But between inception and the date of extension of the mandate, it could only investigate political killings. You accept that? That is, before the extension, between inception and extension, it could only investigate political killings. Do you accept that?
They could only, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was what happened or what they were doing.
So I was saying they were able to go beyond their mandate even before their mandate was extended. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And you say the answer for that lies in the document you want to refer us to.
That is correct.
Please take us there, and I hope we will find that.
You are looking for SS 19, file 2339. It's file 2.
This one.
So, General, this is the handover report when the dockets were delivered on the 28th of March.
I'm getting there, Chair. Let me get to this one. Yes, this one. File 3 of 10, Chair.
No, file 2. Oh, 3.
File 3 of 10, SS 23. When we look at number 2, Mpopeni matter, it's a murder case, not political related. When we look at 3, then Hausa, it's house robbery and theft, not political related.
But General, are you aware that there were parallel cases which would not necessarily be political killings, but parallel in the sense that they are related to political killings? And because they are parallel, it would make sense for those cases to be investigated separately. So they would be lumped together and be investigated together. Are you aware of that?
I am aware, Commissioner or Chair. I am aware. However, Chair, the documents specify that says when you look at the one at Kwanongoma number 4, it's taxi related. Now, I do understand and accept that there will be a parallel case. Sometimes it becomes a taxi related, but I don't know how it will add to political or how it will be a parallel case to political. But in some instance, you find that it's a traditional or it's a politician's son or relative that was killed. for any other reason that is not political or that has got nothing to do with the work that has been done by.
But you see, General, the problem is it doesn't assist us for you to just randomly pick cases that on their face appear not to be political cases without at the same time telling us that I know for a fact that this particular case was not a parallel case. If you cannot do that, the exercise you are engaging us in does not assist at all.
General, can I, as a follow-up to this, just maybe to try and see if you're able to make your point. If you go to case number 5, in that same document, case number 5 at 357, it's at the extreme, it says traditional leader cases. Do you see where I'm looking?
I am, Chair.
Yeah. Can we then get back to what is the point that you want to make? Keep in mind the question that you were asked by Ms. Hassan, which is the PKTT only got the mandate in April 2024. And by the time April 2024, by the time the audit was done in 2025, it was only a year later. And so she was saying, but it's a short time. And your answer was no, but they've always had these cases. They could have investigated them. Let me show you. So I've referred you to that case, and it has a case number. Let's take it from there. What is the point that you're seeking to illustrate?
It is cases like this one, Chair, that caused me to say, no, the mandate didn't start only in 2024, that was extended. They were in any way doing it long before. That is what I was trying to explain.
But where in this document do you find support for what you've just said? Because you asked us to go to this document.
Evidence leader, I don't know, do you have the same document that we are at?
Yes.
Number 5.
Yes.
Mudan, and it says traditional leaders. And when you look at the case number, is that of 2021.
Yes.
So I'm saying they were in any event doing it.
No, I think you're misreading this. The CAS number is 2021. The case itself, the docket, was only allocated to the PKTT when its mandate was extended. So this is a docket that was already in existence. It was from Muden, and it was transferred to the PKTT. So you'll find many dockets here with CAS numbers that go back in time. And there's an explanation for it. And let me just not use my own words, but use the words of the PKTT members who came to testify.
General, just to show you that even the audit is wrong, just look at Madden on number 5, on 357. Do you see that it classifies the case as a traditional leader case?
Yes.
But that is wrong because I had asked you to go to file 2 in the handover report. Now, in the handover report, you will see on 340, Madden is classified as case number 57, CAS 74-12-2021, pointing of a firearm. It's a parallel docket. It's not a traditional. See, and this is the problem with relying on an audit that you did not do and dockets you did not see, because the handover report does not describe that case as a traditional leadership case. You can go and look at it yourself.
The last one, so that I can move out of this document.
Are you on page 340 of file 2?
340.
340 of file 2. Remember, the beauty of a handover report is that it is signed by both General Kumalo and General Sentumule.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, Chair.
Whereas an unsigned draft audit report, nobody has signed it and we don't know who produced it. Now, in that unsigned SS-23, It says Madden is a traditional leader case, and then it says it's a murder case, 7412-2021. But if you go to the handover report on page 340, you see that there are parallel dockets and it's 16 of them. And then case number 57, it's Madden, same case number, but it's the pointing of a firearm. It's not a murder case. And it is not a traditional leader case. Do you see that?
To parallel cases. Madden case 74 of 12, 2021, pointing of firearm.
General, these are your annexures. There's no way I can take a quicker time to understand them than you do.
No,
you know what I'm talking about.
I don't deny, because it's something that I also see that has been pointed out to me now, that I see now.
Yes.
But, and I accept, Chair, whatever weaknesses are there or exists or mistakes exist in the document. But what I wanted to just also then point out in conclusion on this one from my side, I want to say, when you look at number 7,
No, before we do that, can you accept that Madden is a parallel docket and it is a pointing of a firearm case? According to the handover report.
I accept.
And if you go to the next page, 341, starting from number 74, those are traditional leadership cases. Do you see that?
$345. Box 3.
No. General, where are you?
I'm at page 345, looking at...
No, we are in file 2. Remember, we were in file 2 on page 340, and we were looking at the Madden
This
case,
is file 2.
item number 57.
Which file, Chair?
File 2,
Yeah, no. File 2.
page 340.
Uh, 340.
And General, I apologize for being impatient. I assume that these are your annexures that you attached to your affidavit and that you knew them. This is a handover report. You must look at it. Go to page 342. Are you there?
I'm at 342.
Now, when the dockets were handed over by General Kumalo to General Sentumule on the 28th of March 2025, do you see that they both signed that document,
I do,
confirming that these are the dockets that were handed over?
I do.
And they are classified according to type of case. If you go back to 339, 56 of them are politically related. Do you see that?
Page
339.
339.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
So you see that it's 56 politically related dockets.
I see, Chair.
Yes. And then you go to the next page, which was Chair's point. It's 16 parallel dockets. Do you see that?
I see that.
And the first one is Madden.
I see.
Yes. You go to the next page, you've got the ad hoc dockets. It's one from East Court.
I see, Chair.
And then traditional leadership is 45. On page 341.
345.
341.
341.
The next page.
I've got it.
Yes. So you can't rely on the case numbers because a case number simply reflects the case number from the station of origin. It is not a docket opened when it is handed over to the PKTT. So when you see a case number that says 2019 in 92, case 92, you know that it doesn't mean PKTT was looking at that from 2019. It simply means in the station of origin, that docket was opened in that year.
Now, firstly, Chair, we will need, I think both of us, Chair, we will need to ascertain that fact from a case docket itself. Because now for me to just give in and say, yes, I agree, it was just only transferred after this request for funding, when in fact it may not be the case. So, but what I wanted to just point out, Chair, is that what is important, what I see here, as pointed out, it was a mistake that the Madden case that
And
the
there
Chair...
are many of them,
Is-
because
yes.
I've analyzed that audit report. There are many of them.
But yes, where I want to take the Chair to is the fact that both General Khumalo and Sintumule signed for it.
No, they didn't sign the audit report. They did not sign the audit report. They signed the handover report. The audit report you are relying on is SS23. It is not signed by anybody. It is just a document that starts from nowhere and ends nowhere. And you've annexed that to your affidavit in this commission to justify your attack on the PKTT.
It is unfortunate that Chair, that the Commissioner Khumalo see it as an attack on the PKTT, when in fact me, from where I'm coming from, as an employee of the South African Police Service, in my capacity as the Deputy National Commissioner responsible for detectives, being given an instruction by the National Commissioner to get involved and do 1, 2, 3, 4. At a later stage, then it got turned into like I'm attacking my actions or the attacking the PKTT.
But General, sorry, Ms. Hassim, General, you say you cannot accept the proposition that that killing or traditional killings matters could only have been handled by the PKTT from April. You say we would have to look deeper or further into the matter to establish what the true position is. I just do not understand that because you have accepted what the mandate was when the PKTT was established, and you have accepted that that mandate was for the investigation of political killings. And we know from the documents that my colleague, Commissioner Baloyi, and indeed before that, Ms. Hassim, drew your attention to, that the mandate to do political cases, traditional killings, is extended only in April of 2024. So I just don't understand this idea that before April 2024, possibly, as you seem to suggest, the PKTT could have investigated traditional leader killings, even before the mandate was extended. I just do not understand that. Can you explain?
Chair, from my work environment that I know, is that long before the request for funding, they were already investigating such cases of traditional leaders. It didn't just only start last year. They were already investigating it. It's a point I'm prepared to lay my neck on the block and say they didn't start now.
But you see, you took us to the document that my colleague, Commissioner Khumalo, was engaging you with, and you randomly showed us this case and that case and that case to make this point that you are making. And then I said to you, but, General, you do not seem to be distinguishing between the fact that the PKTT would also investigate parallel matters. And there's a logical reason for that. You cannot split related cases or parallel cases and to have them investigated at separate places. So there was a reason for that. Now you randomly show us cases in a manner that suggests that you are not drawing that distinction. So now you are saying, but I do know that even before, I said, if you remember, I said, you seem to suggest that we will get an answer from a certain document that you were referring us to. We've gone to that document, and that's when you randomly pointed at cases in a manner that suggests that you are not factoring this distinction, the distinction between political killings and cases that are parallel to political killings. So thus far you have not really shown us the difference you sought to show us. Now you are saying, but I know for a fact that they had started long ago, and yet you had said the answer for them starting long ago is in this document. And thus far, this document has not assisted you. So where else, or from what other document, or from what other evidence, or yes, evidence, do you base the long ago?
May I just...
General, as you prepare to answer that question, keep in mind also that your testimony yesterday was that you had nothing to do, you knew nothing about the PKTT, their operations, what they were doing, until you were now suddenly introduced to this. You remember we did that exercise about what did you know, at which point did you know, but your evidence yesterday was you had nothing to do with the PKTT until you were asked to sign this recommendation in April 2024. So if you say, I know for a fact they were investigating, you need to explain how would you have known that in your position. And as the chair says, where do we see that in the documents that they were in fact investigating?
You see, Chair, the line of questioning by the commissioners worries me in this sense. The chair asked me a specific question that I must respond to specifically, and just when I'm about to, because now as the chair speaks and I frame how to respond, then Commissioner Baloyi says, before you respond, then come up with a different angle, and then that goes also deeper into a different subject, or that is a different response.
I withdraw my question. Answer the chair's question, and then I can ask you my question after that.
That's what I wanted to ask, Chair.
No. The two are related. The two are related. You are saying long before the mandate was extended, you know for a fact that they had already been investigating traditional leadership killings. Now, all that Commissioner Baloyi is saying, the knowledge that you are referring to, or rather, bear in mind as you show us how you know, bear in mind that you have said you were not involved at all with the PKTT until the time that you were asked to sign the document on funding in 2024. So that's all it adds. It doesn't change the complexion. It doesn't change the picture. It just says, where do you get this knowledge from, bearing in mind the fact that you say you were not involved with the PKTT?
Chair, from my side, as when this question came initially, what I remembered in my mind is that I have seen a number of these cases, and that are dated as far back as 2018, 19, 20, 2021. So it could not have been. Then the chair comes and say, all right, but do you also believe that it does not necessarily mean that they started...
When you say these cases, are you talking about traditional?
Traditional.
Yes.
So then the question comes that says, but it does not necessarily mean that because of the fact that this case, the case number is 2021, it means that they started with the PKTT in 2021. Now, my point was try to demonstrate and say they have been investigating various other cases that are not political in nature and that are also not traditional in nature. And I wanted to give an example of that case in Umkomas case number 7, because this one is about drug related. Now, I don't know whether the drug related, it is also a parallel case to either political killing or to traditional land affairs. That's what I wanted to point.
You'll recall that earlier when we engaged before my colleague Commissioner Kumalo started engaging you will recall that I said it doesn't assist us for you to randomly point at or itemize cases without, as you sit there, being able to tell us that, and I know for a fact that this is not a parallel case. It's an exercise in futility that doesn't assist us at all. Do you get my point? Do you get my point, General? If you are able, I will be with you 100% if you say to me, they were already investigating cases that were outside of their mandate, and here are examples, and the examples I'm giving you are not parallel cases. I know that because, and then you give reasons. But if as you sit there, you are not able to do that, I say to you, that's a futile exercise. Do you get my point?
I hear what the chair said.
Thank you. Miss Hasim, I'm very, very sorry.
No problem
we
at all.
interrupted your line of questioning.
No, you've advanced it. Thank you. General, by your reasoning, there are case numbers in this report. And by the report here, I'm talking about I think, this is your annexure, SS23. There are, if you look at the very first case on that table, page 356.
Page 356.
Yes, page 356.
SS23.
SS23, it's in file 3. It's the same one that the General took us to for the Mudan case.
I've got it, Chair.
Yeah. The very first case is a 2016 case.
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah. And if you just, and I'm doing a very random look here, if you look at page 416 of the same document.
I've got it, Chair.
Case number 112 is a 2011 case. Do you see that?
Yes.
But those were cases, the PKTT wasn't in existence in 2011. PKT was not in existence in 2016. So these case numbers, as we were trying to say, are cases that originated elsewhere and were then allocated to the PKTT. Do you see that?
I see, and I don't agree.
Well, the PKT didn't exist in 2011.
In 2016, it did exist.
Not this PKTT that we're talking about now. It didn't exist.
The PKTT did exist, and there were some challenges about that one, apparently, that says it worked in silos and then closed down and a new one started.
That's right.
But
That
it
was a
did
different
exist.
task team. It was a different task team.
It was a political task team.
Yes, but the mandate, this task team, came about in 2018 when there was a request by the President for a task team to be established to deal with the problem once and for all, because it was an intractable problem. That was in 2018.
I understand.
Okay, thanks. So you can't rely on these case numbers is the first point. The second thing is, if you look at Colonel Khumalo's statement, and in fact, you don't need to go there. Let me just tell you what he says for now.
Can I do this again just to illustrate the point? And sorry to do this to you. Even that for many 1112 case, the audit is wrong because on page 339 of the other file, that is a 2017 case and not a 2011 case. So just a simple analysis of this audit report tells you that you can rely on it. Just a simple analysis of this audit report. So you'll see if you go to file 3, it starts well, item 13, it says cast number 7611, so you know it's the same one. But then there it says 2017. Now in the audit report it says 2011.
What I just must indicate, Chair, whilst I see the pointing out by the commissioners, even myself, I relied on this document as it was provided to me, and it has been used in every platform. And I may still do the same and say, let's take the one that was provided by, let's say Colonel Khumalo or themselves. If someone else was to look at that document also and to look for mistakes or loopholes, you may still come across 1 or 2 mistakes. So I do understand and accept, but I'm saying a person is able to draft something, but you will find that the next person who must also look at it sees a mistake or 2, and that the other one could not pick up. So I'm not saying I do see, and unfortunately this is what I have in front of me at this point in time.
That's fine. Thanks, General. Just to close up on the traditional leader-related cases, what Colonel Khumalo says is that by way of example, we received 50 traditional leader killing dockets in late April 2024. So after the extension of the mandate of the PKTT to include this category of crime. He says they received 50 traditional leader killing dockets. Some were not new matters and thus difficult to find new leads. So 50 dockets, traditional leader, were assigned in late April 2024. And in the handover, 45 or 46 of that audit were made up of traditional leader cases. Do you see the point?
I do.
So your contention that there was a delay in investigation, first of all, your reference to the CAS numbers, we've dealt with that. Second, where you refer to traditional leader cases to show these cases were just there was no progress on it, they only received it in late April 2024. So they had very little time to work on that. Isn't that so?
I'll still not agree with it, because even if you receive them in late 2024, the bottom line is that if that was the case, still in each and every docket, we need to see that you have done something on those specific dockets. Not that you'll find that the last entry made was in 2018 or 2019.
Okay. Let's deal with that. Have you consulted, did your team or yourself consult with the PKTT when you were doing this audit to understand how these cases were investigated? Did you consult with anyone? Did you say, can we talk to you about it?
I find the question very unfair in a sense that in my case it's at the point when I was actually being suspended. I think the atmosphere was already not a normal atmosphere where the question can say, did you consult? It was during that period when I got to be suspended myself.
When was the audit done? In May.
Yes.
When were you suspended?
I was suspended in July,
Right.
but this I didn't get long before that. I got it around about that time as well.
When did you get it?
Somewhere around July or June, somewhere there, just before.
Before you were suspended?
Yes,
And this was done in May,
yes.
the audit report?
Yes.
Okay. If you didn't consult directly, do you know whether your team consulted?
I take it because it was under General Sintumule and with the team, Brigadier Kupoditata, I think themselves, I wasn't directly dealing with the process. General Sintumule was working with General Kumalo, so I wasn't directly involved.
So, you see, the problem is that you hold a view and you've come to the Commission to say there are dockets that are in this state, there are dockets where there was no investigation, but you weren't involved in it. You don't actually know. So you're speculating, and you didn't engage with the investigators on any of those dockets to clarify or to get information from them about how they were investigating it. Right? You come to make contentions based on that audit report.
I don't
But
agree.
then you say you were not involved in it, and so you can't answer certain questions.
I really don't agree with you, unfortunately, evidence leader, because you can't say I'm speculating and I come here and I talk about things that I don't know. I am part of this process. I'm part of the management. I may not have been the one who conducted the inspection, but the report came to me. It's as good as you saying to the National Commissioner, you can't talk about these things because you didn't see this, you didn't check this, you were not involved in this. It's not a fair question.
No, it's not that you can't talk about it. It's that if you come and make a claim, that your claim must have some basis.
It does have some basis because I do have, unless I'm proposing that this docket be here, so that when I talk about a specific copies were made. When I talk about a specific case and say, here is this case, this is the last entry that was made, then we put it aside. Then it won't be regarded as a claim because it will be showing documentary evidence.
General, can I just ask this? Now that you know that General Kumalo says they received 50 dockets of killings of traditional leaders in April 2024, we know that now from his statement. And for purposes of my question, let's accept that to be correct for purposes of this engagement. Do you still persist in your criticism, comment, whatever you want to call it, that in fact they did no work on this? You're criticizing them that they did no work after they got the dockets in April. Do you still persist in that position?
I still persist they did no work in those cases.
From April?
From I don't know since when they've been having those dockets.
He tells us that they were given the docket. They got the mandate in April and they got 50 dockets in April. So let's keep those facts constant, right? That the mandate was in April. They got the dockets, 50 dockets. Let's go with what he says. That's how I'm formulating my question. Knowing that, or even for purposes of this discussion, accepting that, let's assume that he's correct, that they got 50 dockets in 2024, not before that, in 2024. Are you saying you still persist in your criticism that from 2024, when they got the dockets, to the day that the dockets were removed from them, they had not done any meaningful work? and so they are open to criticism.
Once again, Chair, I want to put something on the table. It looks like everything that comes with General Kumalo or General Masemola is a gospel truth and it's accepted and is the truth. And anything that comes that negates that and that refuses or does not agree is a claim, or why do you say this? To me, it's a problem in a sense that what General Kumalo says and what we say, now for the chair to make a good determination, we need other witnesses or other dockets or evidence in front of us.
Let me stop you. What from my question makes you say that? What in the way that I've formulated my question makes you say that I've taken what General Kumalo as gospel truth and what you're saying is questioned? And I'm asking not to be argumentative because I really am interested in an answer to my original question. So I want to clarify to the extent that you tell me what it is in my question makes you say, I take it as gospel truth. I want to clarify myself so that you understand that's not what I'm doing.
And in responding to the commissioner's question, I want to start it from where the evidence leader is saying, reading from Colonel Kumalo's statement.
Yeah, no,
General.
I have to stop you. Please forget what the evidence leader has said. All she's read what she says is contained in a statement of General Kumalo. I formed my question this way. I said, assume for purposes of our discussion. Let's assume that is true. That's not an indication, at least from where I sit, it's not an indication that I accept the truthfulness of that statement. That's why I said, let's assume for purposes of our discussion that he is correct when he says they only got 50 dockets in April. Would, on that assumption, assuming that to be correct, and maybe it's not correct, that's what an assumption means. When I say assume, the converse of it is I'm not taking it as truth. Assume that what he tells us is correct, or is the case. They got 50 dockets in April, mandate extended in April, therefore the budget allocation happens sometimes after you have approved an extension of allocation of budget. Do you still say that from that period when they got the dockets and got their mandate and when the dockets were audited, do you still say, well, too much time passed in that window? Too much time passed. They should have been more than this, so they are useless. Do you still say that?
That's what I'm saying, Chair.
Okay. I had asked you what is it in my question that made you say that or think that I am accepting his statement as the gospel truth. Are you able to answer that, even after I've said to you, let's assume?
It's when the chair says to me, when the commissioner says to me it appeared as though the commissioner believed in what General Kumalo is saying, that says we only received or started this mandate in 2024. And when I look at their existence over a period of time, there are many investigations that...
I think you've answered me. Remember, you tend to go, you tend to answer things that are not flowing from the question that's been asked. I think the last question I asked you was, what is it in what I have said that made you believe that I've taken his statement as gospel truth? That was my question. And I think you say, you repeat from what I've said. That's fine. That's what the answer is. Thank you. Mr. Sim.
Thank you, Commissioner Beroy. General, my question about whether there had been any discussion with the members and the investigators in the team is because there is an explanation that's provided for those dockets where it appears that there's been no movement with reference to the C-clip, or where there genuinely has been no movement in a case, and the explanations for it. And I just want to tell you what these explanations are. For this purpose, we go back to Colonel Khumalo's statement. And I'm not going to read through in detail. I just want to highlight the few points because this question was obviously, or this issue, this accusation was obviously something that they took seriously and provided a statement in which they analyzed the dockets. And there are a few things that he said. The first is that the dockets that are handed over to the PKTT are particularly complex due to the nature of the cases, which are often linked to political assassinations where the true orchestrators of the hits remain concealed. So the first thing he says is, bear in mind that what we are being given are complex matters. That's why the task team was...
Advocate Hazim, where are you reading from?
Colonel Khumalo's statement. It's at...
You said general, that's why.
Sorry, I thought I said colonel. Sorry, it's page 265. File 4. And it's paragraph 4. Second, he says at paragraph 5, do you have it, General?
Paragraph?
5.
No, not yet. Which file?
It's also projected on the screen if that's of any use.
267. I've got it.
Okay. Paragraph 5, he says, it's important to note that dockets are sometimes transferred to the PKTT after they have already been opened at their station of origin. In many instances, these cases only reach the task team when the originating police station has failed to detect meaningful leads or progress in the investigation. This means the PKTT inherits dockets that have already encountered significant investigative challenges. In paragraph 6, he says, additionally, it should be noted that the cases assigned to sometimes the cases assigned to the PKTT are quite old, which makes the process of trying to find new leads even harder. And then a little bit further down in the same paragraph, he says, in these cases, we do not close the case because it is undetected. Instead, we pinpoint distinguishing features of the murder like weapon use, vehicle used, modus of the perpetrators. Once we see these features in another crime, we investigate the old and new docket together, what they've described elsewhere as the signatures. And then finally, if you go to paragraph 28 of the statement.
Can I?
Finally, when you go to paragraph 28.
Can I comment before we get there?
Let me just finish his reasons and then you can comment.
Perhaps let him comment, Mr. Hassan.
Yeah, because I'm not writing, Chair, and I lose the trail of thought. Now I want to comment on this, and as you go along, is something else that I would also need to comment on. So please allow me.
Okay, go ahead.
You see, there's a manner of managing a docket, a case docket management, and how the manner of closure, on how we close the docket. In an attempt to qualify or justify why the dockets are not attended to say we do not close the docket. Remember how General Khumalo put it in Parliament. He says, we don't put docket in a fridge, in a freezer. We put them in a fridge. In the detective language, there's nothing like that. You close the docket undetected, or you file the docket, but you do close the docket if you close the docket and you put it away. And then when there is a hit, the hit will automatically be created by the system that will prompt the investigating officer to go and pull the docket and then insert the docket and charge the person. So you don't keep the docket somewhere in a corner and then you say, no, we keep them, we're looking for to compare whether with a murder weapon or looking for other features. It's not how you won't be able with your naked eye or your thinking. Just expect that, okay, because of this modus operandi and that modus operandi, it will automatically look like this docket, then you pull it. You close the docket if it's undetected. If it is a docket that needs to be closed, or let's say you file it or it's withdrawn, you close it. Then you don't keep them with you. Then they are stored. You run with the cases that are alive, that you are investigating. Now, should you come across, let's say for an example, the same weapon that was used at a particular scene of crime, the system, when the ballistic picks it up, the system will hit. And as it hit, then it tells you that this weapon was also used at that particular, that's when that docket get pulled and used. So that is why what I want to comment and say, the reasoning here also doesn't really make sense to me, but I will accept it. It's being read by the commission, but it doesn't make sense.
No, I accept that. I think that this task team has a particular operational method that they spend some time talking about, which is their method. And you may not agree with the method, and you might even say it's not proper, the method. That's not really why I'm citing these reasons to you that were provided by Colonel Khumalo. The purpose of it is to say that, and as it goes on, including paragraph 28, is to explain, and again, not commenting on whether it's a good method of investigation or not, but that they were investigating. And he put up the taskings from their weekly meetings and described it. So the only point of this is to say there was a long explanation of the methodology. And when I asked whether there had been any discussion with the task team or individual investigators, the reason is that in a conversation, things might have become clearer to say, well, okay, so you were investigating, and maybe there needed to be some other action taken to say that this is not the proper way of investigating, but it's not that there was no investigation. But you wouldn't know that, and the team who did this wouldn't know that because they didn't consult with the investigators. That's really what I'm putting to you.
Can I comment?
Absolutely.
Chair, I know that General Khumalo came here and spoke about methodology, the methodology we use. The methodology they are using is very wrong and far from being right, because, and he also mentioned it, and he says, to us as the PKTT, we all own a docket. Nobody can actually work alone on a docket. Yes, I agree. This is when you work with projects like in the DPCI or the old Scorpions or maybe IDEC. Now there you work in teams. Now you cannot all own one docket. If, for an example, in the world of investigation, looking at the whole country, with each and every investigating officer having between more than 100 to 300 cases, 300 to 400, 500 to 600 cases, that methodology is not working, because you can't all own. You've got 100, you've got 200, you've got 500, you've got 600. Now we can't all say we're owning this docket.
Yeah, but General, what is the point you're addressing? They have a methodology. They have reported successes. You disagree with their methodology, but they have given reports that they have succeeded. You are the one witness, and you can correct me if you're aware of another witness. You are the one witness that is saying, oh, they have not been that successful after all. I'm told General Mutsipe also said the same, but they've reported successes. You approved funding, it must be, because you were accepting what you were told, that they were successful. We know they started out with 612 case dockets. By the time you took the dockets from them, or you said they must go to where General Sintumule designates, we were now at 121 dockets. So we know, on the evidence before us, work was done, and I don't think you can speak for as long as you want, and in whatever way you explain it. You cannot change the facts, whatever they signify. You can't change the fact that when they started out, they had 612 dockets. And by the time the dockets were taken from them, the dockets were at 121. Some of them were ready for the prosecutor and all of that. That's what we are concerned about. We are not being asked to evaluate their methodology. And I'm not sure you're explaining how bad their methodology is, how good yours is, helps any of the questions that we are required to answer. The simple proposition that was being put to you by Ms. Hassim is that you have expressed a view that they said with dockets, look at the age when the last recording of what was done is, look at that. A docket has been sitting since 2019, they haven't looked at it. That's the basis of your criticism or your comment. Ms. Hassim says, here's an explanation. They've given an explanation for it. You may not like the explanation. You may not like their method of putting dockets aside until they get a hit, but they have given an explanation of how they work. And we are not evaluating whether the way they work is good or not. It's certainly not our terms of reference. So I'm not sure, unless you explain why we should spend more time with you explaining how investigations are done, how dockets generally are dealt with. If you don't explain why that is relevant to our terms of reference, I'm not sure that we are using the time usefully. You may comment if you want to.
Personally, Chair, I don't think this is really helping the police in building capacity for the police, because let us attempt to have the same capacity that we have in KZN in all the provinces, and same budget in all the provinces, same modus operandi, methodology they are using. I don't know if it is sustainable and it will actually work.
Okay.
But at this point in time, because it is now a small team that is based in KZN and well-resourced and supported, and that is it seems like it is a recommended methodology that should be implemented throughout the country. But as far as I'm concerned, it's not helping the police at all.
I understand the point that you are making. Thank you.
I'm not sure anymore where you are, General. My question to you was just in relation to, it's not about whether their methodology is a sound one or not a sound one. It seems to be effective. You yesterday said that yourself, that all the 9 districts have stabilized, that they had under their purview. So it seems to be effective. But I'm not sure that I want to take this any further, Chair. I think we can move on.
I think you wanted to take us to 28.5. I think it's useful that you...
Oh, sorry, did I leave something out?
Yes.
Oh, I did want to go there, but
Yes.
then I got distracted.
Sorry about that.
Yes. At 28.5, what Colonel Khumalo says is just because the C-clip does not have an entry, it does not mean work has not been done. If the handing over of the dockets had been done with some consideration and planning, these task lists could have been included in the dockets to show the true status of the investigations.
And then maybe 28.4, sorry about that, because it explains what a task list is.
Yes. In fact, it's actually, I went to paragraph 28 because it starts from, we dealt with the traditional leader, and then it's the signatures for each dockets and how they generate the leads. And then 28.4 is, considering the investigation diary alone is not a basis to include that no work is being done on a particular docket. That's what he's saying. You can't consider the investigation diary alone. As noted earlier, dockets are analyzed together with all the various specialties around the table. We then develop a task list with daily, weekly reporting. This list is what we use to track activities and progress on the investigations. An example of a task list is attached as Annexure NPK5. I have also prepared an example based on cases where it may have looked like there were no investigations in the last year or two. The extracted task list is attached as NPK6. And then in 28.5, just because the C-clip does not have an entry, it doesn't mean no work has been done. And I think for me, this is really the important point that I was trying to put to you. It's the following. It's that if the handing over of the dockets had been done with some consideration and planning, these task lists could have been included in the dockets to show the true status of the investigations. So that's really why I had asked you the question, is that this was a very rushed and hurried process. And in the absence of having a planning and a considered and a collaborative, cooperative process, these task lists and this information was not made available to the team that did the audit report. Had it been made available, the picture or the comments of the Motsepe report might have been different. You can comment on that.
My problem is that you, evidence leader, what Colonel Khumalo is saying there is not correct, and he's not an investigating officer. It's not a trained detective. But I'm saying, why I'm saying also that what he's saying is also not right. You cannot say that the fact that the investigation diary is not written does not necessarily mean that work has not been done. It can't be. As a detective or as a policeman, you've got a pocket book and you've got the investigation, you've got your docket and you've got your diary. You will write your diary, but you will also make sure that whatever investigation that you do per docket, you make entries in whatever that you need all step of the way. All the time you work on this docket, you do write something on the docket. So now, I just want to say that the fact that no entries were made in a case docket does not necessarily mean that work was not done. It can be correct and it can be accepted as well.
Now, I hear what you're saying, that that's not proper. I hear that. And I'm not commenting on that at all. All I'm saying is that there's the improper or not, there was information to show that investigations had been ongoing. And if there had been a consultation process, that would have been made available. I mean, you must agree with that there would have been a discussion on that.
No. Let's say you have the docket, the investigation diary is not written. It happened that all of a sudden when you go home you get knocked by a car and you die. And you know what work was done, but the docket, nothing is written in the docket, no work was done. According to us, we're going to run to the investigation diary. The only person when we are going to allocate the docket, we're going to allocate the docket to a new investigator. When he opens the docket, he sees what work was done up to where you ended. Now, the fact that you ended since in 2020, then you say, no, it doesn't mean that no work was done. Whatever work was done, that was in your head. You gone with that work.
Let me just stop you there, because that's not what he said. It wasn't in his head. He produced so they capture it in a different way, not in the C clip. So it's not that it's not captured. It's captured in a different way and in quite a lot of detail. So that was the point he was making. And all I'm saying to you, I don't want to get into a debate. It's certainly not my province about what is appropriate investigation methods and what isn't. The only point I'm making is that if there had been a considered process, there would have been a discussion with the team about the status of the investigations. That's all.
I think the purpose, and I must have indicated it, that they must sit together, General Kumalo and General Sintumule, exchange information, do a proper handing over. That will include those type of discussions, if there's any. As far as I'm concerned, the purpose for General Sintumule and General Kumalo to meet was to now come up with a way forward on what and how do we take the process forward, including them sitting together with investigators and consulting with one another to make sure that they update each other and do what was necessary. So it never happened. Really, I can't account for that part. All I know is that those that reported to me at that time is the two that I spoke to that had to meet, and in my meeting with them, they met and they did a handing over. My role is done, other than just to oversee now that the process is finalized.
Okay, no, that's fine. But you agree that that would have been a better process?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Chair, I'm going to move on to an entirely different. I'm leaving the topic of the disbandment and dockets and all of that entirely. But I see that it's 4:45.
Do you want to start it now or Monday? Because we just must adjourn at 4 o'clock.
I don't think it's 15 minutes to go. It's an entirely new area. As reluctant as I am, I think it's probably better to leave it.
Today I'm not risking asking Ms. Killian because she just again might say we must go on.
I think to be fair to me, Chair, I think that today, because yesterday you asked Ms. Killian and not me, so I think today I should carry the vote.
So let's adjourn and resume at 9:30 on Monday.
Thank you.